The wolf opens his mouth, not to roar, to collect a debt. Saliva hangs between fangs longer than swords. His breath steams the air, hot and foul, thick with iron and prophecy. The ground beneath him trembles, not from movement, but from restraint. The gods hesitate, every one of them. Thunder tightens Thor's grip. Odin's single eye flickers, already calculating futures. Loki watches, smiling too much. Only one god steps forward. A hand extends, not shaking, not rushed, certain. Fenrir snaps. The sound is wrong, wet, final. Bone collapses. Flesh tears. Blood spills onto sacred soil that was never meant to taste it. Tyr does not pull back. He screams once, then silence. And the gods, immortal, powerful, terrified, do something unforgivable. They relax, because the price has been paid, because the future has been delayed, because someone else suffered instead of them. Here is the paradox. The god who lost his hand believed in justice. The gods who kept theirs believed in survival. And only one of those beliefs required courage. His name was Tyr, god of oaths, god of law, god of consequences that do not bend to fear. He believed promises were sacred, even when they destroyed the one who kept them. This is not a story about heroism. It's a story about consented betrayal, about a sacrifice no one else volunteered to make, about a god who stepped into a monster's mouth so others could wash their hands clean. Stay with this myth, because the sacrifice that saved the world for a moment.
Unveil the legends.
Long before blood hit the dirt, the gods were already afraid, not of giants, not of monsters, not even of death. They feared certainty. Ragnarok was not a rumor. It was not metaphor. It was scheduled, whispered by seers, etched into prophecy, which victories would poison themselves. That knowledge rotted them from the inside. Then Fenrir was born, a wolf, a child of Loki, a living prophecy with teeth. He grew too fast. His shadow lengthened unnaturally. His eyes followed gods with an intelligence that made them uncomfortable. He listened, remembered. The gods felt it immediately. This was not a beast. This was an ending learning how to walk. Still, they didn't kill him. Killing prophecy felt dangerous, like touching a blade meant to cut you later. So they did what frightened rulers always do. They brought the threat inside the walls. Fenrir studied like a weapon still cooling from the forge. But none of them would approach him. None except Tyr. Not because Tyr was fearless, because Tyr was honest. He didn't flatter, didn't threaten, didn't lie. He spoke plainly, kept promises, treated Fenrir not as a monster, but as something bound by rules. Fenrir trusted him. That trust mattered more than chains ever could. As the wolf grew, the gods stopped pretending, noted how the earth trembled when he ran. Killing him felt immoral, letting him. Then things forged by dwarves with names meant to sound eternal. Each time Fenrir let them bind him. Each time he flexed, slowly, and metal screamed apart like wet branches. The gods laughed too loudly, relief masking panic. That's when the idea curdled into a plan. Gleipnir didn't smell like a weapon. It smelled like salt and moss and old magic, soft as silk, light as breath. A lie you could tie a knot in. Fenrir sensed it. The sea wind shifted. Birds went quiet. He lowered his head, eyes narrowing, not in rage but calculation. "I'll wear it," he said, "but only if one of you places a hand in my mouth." Silence cracked the sky. Greed for survival. Fear of prophecy. The hunger to make the problem stop. No god moved, except Tyr, and slid his hand past warm breath and waiting teeth. Trust pressed against inevitability. The ribbon tightened. Gleipnir held. Fenrir pulled. The sound that followed wasn't anger. It was understanding. This is where the myth stops comforting anyone, because the version remembered by history is clean. Tyr was brave. Fenrir was dangerous. The sacrifice was unavoidable. But the older the story gets, the more it resists that simplicity. Fenrir never violated a law. He didn't strike first, didn't rebel. He existed under a prophecy he did not write. That was enough. The gods punished potential instead of action. They arrested the future before it committed a crime. That isn't justice. That is fear wearing ceremonial robes. And Tyr understood this more clearly than anyone. He knew Gleipnir was deception. He knew Fenrir trusted him. He knew exactly what placing his hand in the wolf's mouth would mean. Because Tyr believed something colder than mercy. He believed that law must remain uncontaminated, even if it destroys the innocent. That order requires visible sacrifice. That peace, to survive, must have a witness who bleeds. By offering his hand, Tyr transformed a lie into a ritual. The gods could point to his wound and say, "See, the cost was shared." But it wasn't. Tyr paid everything. The others paid nothing. And after that moment, the myth quietly moves him aside. No new legends. No redemption arc. Justice does not seek applause. It extracts payment and leaves. Fenrir remained bound, not raging, not thrashing, learning. Every day the ribbon tightened like a reminder. Every night resentment sharpened into certainty. The gods called it stability. But stability built on betrayal doesn't break loudly. It waits patiently for the exact moment it is needed most. Ragnarok does not arrive as chaos. It arrives as reckoning. Everything the gods postponed comes due at once. Winter stretches on without end. Trust dissolves. Families fracture. Oaths lose meaning. The universe begins returning borrowed time. And then Gleipnir snaps. Not with thunder, with inevitability. Fenrir rises. Larger than memory, older than fear. His jaws split the horizon. The lower scrapes the earth. The upper swallows the sky. He does not hesitate. He goes where the debt leads. He finds Odin, the god who feared fate enough to betray a child, the god who thought knowledge could replace honor, the god who believed sacrifice was something other people did. Fenrir devours him, slowly, not in rage, in completion. Prophecy closes its mouth. The irony is merciless. That betrayal guaranteed the end of the world. And Tyr? Tyr does not survive. To explain himself, he meets Garm at the gates of hell. Another guardian, another boundary, another embodiment of law. They recognize each other instantly. Two enforcers, two systems, two debts colliding. They kill each other. No speeches, no witnesses, no absolution. Justice balances the scales with blood and silence. The god who lost his hand loses the rest of himself. No hand is restored, no promise undone, only consequence fulfilled. This is the truth the myth leaves behind, carved into bone. You cannot chain the future without teaching it hatred. You cannot betray trust and call it wisdom. And sacrifice, when demanded by fear, never saves anything for long. Tyr kept his promise. Because the most dangerous beings are not monsters. They are believers, people who think. The system matters more than the lives inside it. So decide. Was Tyr the bravest god in Norse mythology? Or the most dangerous kind of moral absolutist? The one who believes law is worth any cost? Leave your judgment below. And remember this, Tyr was not alone in trying to outsmart fate. Odin went further. He sacrificed his eye, his sleep, his sons, his peace. And it still wasn't enough. Because the next story isn't about losing a hand. It's about losing everything. And once that story begins, no god escapes unbroken. That mystery waits next.